What's up, guys? If you didn't catch the title of this video, which would be crazy because you clicked on it, then you might not know that we are doing a coilover suspension upgrade today. It is going to be great. These are our spindles right here. These are out of an 85. It doesn't really matter what year you get. 87, 88, and 89 turbos are a little bit more desirable because of the brake caliper things. You can fit on the Z32 brakes real easy, but this is from an 85. I'm putting it on my 86, so we shouldn't have too many problems. As you can see, we have a spindle out right here, and I'm driving my car around right now. That's why I have this extra one, so I can get everything installed and welded while still daily driving my Z. I've got another one right there already in the vise. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut about an inch off of the very base here. We're just going to chop the tube off because we don't need any of this. We're going to weld on an adapter, but we do need to keep this little brake tab thing. So we're going to keep that. We're going to cut off about an inch there. That's pretty much it. We're going to go ahead and try to use... I have a metal cutting diamond tipped blade right here, but you could use like something like a Sawzall like that. And I'm just going to go ahead. You can see I started making a little mark. I measured 1.5 inches at first, but I read that 1 inch really is just what you should do. So there's the 1 inch mark. I already made it. I'm going to go ahead and mark this one too with a little hacksaw before I start, just so we get a good starting point. And then other than that, it's pretty much just cut it straight, make sure everything is level, and cut it straight down. And we'll go ahead and get our spindles off. Alright guys, as you can see, we went ahead and got them cut through. I was using this guy, if I mentioned earlier, and it is probably not the best thing. Probably a Sawzall would be the best thing to do, cut straight through it, because I kind of had to go around with this guy because the blade wouldn't cut all the way through. But it did work. It took a little bit of time, but if you have a Sawzall, I would definitely recommend that. Second thing is it does have fluid inside, so once you make a little cut in it, I would just go ahead and drain it. It has like an inner section and an outer section, so once you get to the inner section, you have to drain it again. And if all that kind of heat makes fumes, so I would do this in a well ventilated area. Other than that, let me show you real quick. There's the strut that goes through the center here, the metal rod. Pull that out, and it'll be a lot less for you to cut through because it goes through down here about where we're cutting through, and you'll have to cut through that and all the rest of it. So if you go ahead and just pull it out about 3 inches, you should be plenty clear of this bottom part. But other than that, you can see we have our nice cut here now. Let's see if I can focus on it. Alright, so you can see it's pretty rough. What I'm going to go ahead and do is go get a file and file the outside and the inside. Just make it nice and clean. And then the last thing that we need to do is get this old brake line bracket basically off here. So there's 2 little welds right there, you can see. I went ahead and I'm doing a dual step, so I'm using a small drill bit to make a small hole. And then I'm using a bigger drill bit to drill out the rest of it. And then pretty much once that's done, we're going to go ahead and get a flat blade and just hit it with the hammer until it comes off. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and finish those up, and then we can go ahead and move on to the next step. Alright, we went ahead and got this all nice and cleaned up, nice and filed down. It is ready to get welded. Probably what the welder is going to do is going to grind it away a little bit on the outside because it is painted to keep corrosion down, so that they can have a nice clean surface to weld on. Again, that's not really our problem, that's going to be them. It's all the surface prep and everything. I'm going to have a friend weld mine, or you can get it professionally welded. I'm not sure the rates on that, but you know, it's whatever's cheaper for me. And finally, these guys, these little holes, if you're interested, the drill bit size I used was 5/64. It seemed to do it just perfect. And then I went in from behind, so I was like this, and I came in from behind with a little flat blade and just hit it under, it just popped up. And they both seem to have like some sort of little tiny weird weld thing right in one corner that holds them on. It might have been just like some sort of weird seam sealer kind of thing. But other than that, we got both those off, and so we'll weld those onto the new adapters that slide over this. So let's go ahead and get these welded. Alright guys, well, we got our spindles all back welded from the welder. Basically he just went around here. You can go ahead and do it on the inside if you want to be extra careful. I didn't ask him to. And then we also tacked on the brake line brackets once again. Now I went ahead and painted these with a nice metal bonding. It's kind of like an acrylic paint, I believe. But basically it's just going to hold up really well, and it's going to prevent any rust. That's really what this one does. But it's sitting here in front of my heater, and it is being heated up and drying. So while we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and work on the rear coilovers. You may be able to see I got my rear tire off already. basically what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove the strut and the spring because we don't need the spring anymore. That is on the coilover. And we're going to go ahead and just reach it from up in here, if you can see. Right there we have 3 nuts. Those are all 14 millimeters. It is a little bit difficult to get to. I'm going to try just going through the speaker mounts right here. Sorry, let me tell you how to get that off. Basically, there's 2 little clips right here. I would go in about in the middle or on one side or the other and kind of pop them up. I did break this one when I was trying to get it off. Sad days. But basically, it hooks back behind there, so all you have to do is lift it up and slide it out. But these 2 are the ones that clip in, so those 2 are the ones you have to be the most careful about getting out without breaking anything. But other than that, it's 3 Phillips head screws to get the speaker out, and then we can see it on this side from underneath, right back there. Usually has that dust cap on it. I took it off, and then this side is a little bit more difficult. If we wanted to get to it, we'd have to remove that panel, but you know, whatever. We're gonna go ahead and try to get to it through the speaker holes. Basically what we're going to do, if you guys haven't watched my video on how to replace your rear shocks, we're going to go ahead and jack up the control arm so that there's nothing pulling down, because right now the spring is pulling down on the strut. So if it's doing that, when we're trying to undo those bolts, it's going to have a lot of tension on them. So we're going to go ahead and push this up so that this is out of tension, and that should help us get those bolts off really easily with a nice open end wrench without marring the bolts at all either. So I'm going to go ahead and try that, and we're going to see how well it works. Alright guys, so as you may be able to see, this is what we just went ahead and undid on top. Basically this just holds it up into there. Now what we can go ahead and do is release our jack and lower this down. Before we do that, we're probably going to go ahead and take off this bolt first. I'd have to look at that. I think it's a 16 mil, but it might be a 17. Whatever it is will pop up on your screen right now, I suppose. But once that's out of the way, then we can go ahead and take the spring out, which is pretty much going to be as simple / sketchy as pushing this down with our foot while that falls out. It shouldn't be under too much pressure, but just in case, you know. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to work on that bolt right down there. Alright, let me go ahead and tell you guys what's going on right here. Basically, this is a 17 millimeter pin. And the hardest part about this pin isn't that it doesn't come off. It's at the back end here. It spins with the front end. So what you need to do is you need to get something on the back. I have the 17 millimeter wrench that's just propped here, so it cannot spin. And then on the front, I've got a deep socket. You do need a deep socket because that is a long bolt. And then just a regular wrench. And when I turn this now, this back piece holds the bolt and the nut will come off. Guys, once we got that off, I just tapped the pin out, and with it supported, it shouldn't have any weight on it or anything, so it should come out really easy. And now our entire assembly just comes right out. Just as easy as that. Go ahead and set that down right there. We don't need that top plate. The new one comes with a new top plate. I'll go ahead and grab that in just a sec. But what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to go ahead and lower this slowly until the spring go ahead and decompresses all the way, and we can just pull it out. There is a perch down here. We don't need that. There is one on the top. We don't need that. Other than that, guys, we should be almost ready to go ahead and stick our new one in. So let's go ahead and just lower this real quick. Alright, so as you can see, I did get these springs out, guys. I did have to use these strut compressors, or the spring compressors. I went ahead and did both sides, thinking maybe it was the sway bar kind of holding it up, but it still didn't really help, so I went to the store, rented a few of these guys, and I went ahead and just compressed them. What I did is I pushed the arm up with my jack again, and then compressed it, so I didn't have to spin this thing so many times. And I went ahead and got them both out. So let's go ahead now, walk over here. This is our new coilover. Take this foam piece off the top. Alright, so what it comes with is it comes with a bag of these 4 little adapter fittings. This is only for Powertrix. Other brands might not do it. Basically, you fit them right in here. This is It's a different, but it's like an S13 bung, and you need like a little adapter sleeve to fit the Z31. So we went ahead and put those in right there. There's one on each side, 2 of them total, so there's 4 in this bag. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set the height. I have no idea pretty much what height I'm going to set this to. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is just kind of put this so that the spring is snug. Sometimes you can set preload on that. I'm not really going to do it. I don't think it's important. I will go ahead and ask around though and make sure that that is true. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and measure from this plate right here, this green plate, down to this, and then I'm going to set both of them down to the same height. So I'll go ahead and spin this to wherever I want. We'll say like right there for now. And I'll make sure both sides are the same. And then I'll go ahead and put this on the car, drop the rear end down, see how it looks. And then if I think it's good, I'll go ahead and just adjust it however I want. So basically, all we're going to really be adjusting is just this bottom part here. This is going to change our height. This part is going to, it's the preload like I said, and I don't really think I need that because springs, when they get compressed more, basically they become harder, but I want a kind of soft ride. This isn't really a track car, this is just a road car. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that. And we also do have our dampening on the top here, guys. This is 20-way adjustable for the Powertrix at least. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and stick this back up in here. So remember, this replaces both the spring and the strut, and it just goes right up in. And then we'll go ahead and put our bottom bolt on, do it on both sides, and make sure everything lines up. I'll go ahead and grab a tape measure, and then we will go ahead and drop it down and see what the ride height looks like. Alright guys, I went ahead and got them installed. Went ahead and put the bolts back on the top, same pin through the bottom. One thing I always recommend when you're doing suspension work is to use a removable thread locker. I didn't, but I probably will go back into. I just kind of wanted to get it together and see how it sits. If you guys can see, this is how it's sitting in the air. I would say that's probably about 3.5-ish inches of clearance. It's actually pretty equal along the entire thing, which looks really cool. But I'm going to go ahead and set it down and see pretty much how much it compresses. I really don't know. I did take a specific measurement in there, and I will when I adjust it to give you guys an idea of where you need to set yours. But let's go ahead and set it down. Well guys, I don't know about you, but I actually, almost fell over. I actually kind of like where it is. Right now, we're sitting probably about 1 inch from the top of the wheel to the outside of the wheel arch here. It's nothing crazy. I could have go lower, but I think for the current, I have stock wheels on if you couldn't tell. For those stock wheels, they're not, I like it kind of being uniform all the way across, and because of the way it is right now, I don't really want to go lower. I think it looks good where it is, and it is definitely lower than it was before. I forgot to take measurements, I apologize. But I think it looks good. I'm going to leave it there. I will go ahead and put a picture on the screen with the measurement that I took. It'll give you guys kind of a baseline. If you wanted to go an extra inch or so, you definitely could. There would probably be no problem with that. But I actually like where it is. I might bring it a little bit lower, but we'll figure it out. Anyways, next thing we're going to go ahead and do is move on to the front.